meeting and what did that entail?
Yeah, it was a great review, as they always are on a Monday. You always want to look at some of the things that we did really well, but then the things we want to improve on. So it's no secret we gave away 18 penalties. There was something that allowed them to get in the game, as I said, after the game in the first 15 and the last 15. So that's something we need to be better at, making sure that we're taking the ref out of it. So clearly onside, making good, clear, accurate decisions at the breakdown and go from there.
Is that the simple solution in terms of that? Is it just following the laws? Really?
Yeah, it is. It is actually, it sounds really easy and simple, but we get put under pressure different ways, and the boys had really good intent, and we drove that throughout the week last week about getting off the line and getting off and putting pressure on them. We didn't get it right the whole time, and that's the beauty about Test match rugby. You're put under pressure, and making sure this week we adjust to that pressure and make sure that we take the ref out of it, and then hopefully we can, instead of going back 10 metres all the time, we can impose ourselves a bit more.
Speaking of this week, this might be your last home game for a long time. Is that discussed in the group, and how are you personally feeling about that?
Yeah, we've obviously discussed it, but at the same time we know we're here this week, so we've got to deal with this week first. It was people been to a number of World Cups, all those things, you talk around knockout games and things, and it's actually just dealing with what's in front of you, what are you at today. So for me here, talking to all you lovely guys, so that's what I've got to deal with at the moment. But we have talked around it, and we've got faith in the NZRU, SANZAR, etc. So we'll get that information, and when we get it, we can then pass it on to the team and the families, etc.
Just on the discipline, do you think it's becoming a wee bit of a recurring theme around the conceding of too many penalties?
Yes and no. I think if they're all for exactly the same thing, I'd be a little bit more concerned. But there's always things to work on, every week, and that's the key one this week. I thought we'd made some good gains over the first three, being Tonga and the two Fijian Test matches. So, there's always things you've got to work on, and that's always one. Time and space is critical in Test match rugby, so you're always trying to create it for yourself when you've got the ball, and you're trying to take it away when you don't. So that's probably one thing that we're looking at.
Is the discipline easy to replicate in training or fix in training, or is it something you need to do in a game environment? It's hard to sort of do in training.
Pretty easy in a training. You just get one of the management to watch it, and you can have a consequence straight away, or you can review it afterwards. So it is good when you have someone looking at a certain area, whether that's offsides or hands in a ruck or whatever it is. It is good when you have that clear focus, and you can train it and get better at it.
How much difference does it make having a guy like Paul Williams refereeing, for example, who is reasonably officious? There are normally quite a high penalty count around him, and you've had him quite a bit this year with the Crusaders, and now coming into a Test match. And as opposed to, say, any other referees, do you look at who's refereeing and say, well, we need to do this?
Yeah, you always look at who's refereeing and some of the traits they have, and in saying that though, you don't want to become obsessed with one person. If for myself personally, I've got to go out there and play well. The ref never tells you what you should or shouldn't have done. That's on us as rugby players. We've got to make sure we do that first. They're out there, and for me as captain at the moment, I've just got to make sure I'm working with the referee, and that information goes both ways. So if they're seeing something throughout the week, Fozzie and crew are obviously talking, clips go back and forth at times, but other times it's actually better off just to worry about our own things, and that's where it sits most of the time.
Sam, did it take you guys too long to get the forwards into the game? I mean, I think you talked about it post-match, but it wasn't sort of really towards half-time that you really got the forwards, that pattern, I guess, you like to establish, the foundation up front. Yeah,
I think being a tight forward myself, I'd love to be involved in everything early, but that's not the case. Sometimes, it's a bit of expansive, and the weekend just gone. There's no more penalties, so there's a few more line-outs and things like that. But you've got to be amping in system. Same defensively, you'd love to make a couple of tackles early, be in the game, but sometimes it takes 20 minutes, and then you might have 5 to make in a row. So you just got to stay in your system, and when the ball does come your way, or the breakdown or whatever, you've got to be ready. So it is a hard one. yeah, some people want all the action straight away. Some people want to build into a game. Some people were ready to go and just want to be straight in the mixer straight away.
Sam, at 33-8, there was a real opportunity to push home and really bury them. Is there any sense now after your review as to why that final 15-minute period didn't go your way?
Yeah, I've pretty much said what we've talked around, making sure that we carry on that momentum. Whether we've got momentum at the start of the game, halfway through, we can't allow a good team to come back, and it just showed. We gave a couple of the ball away, whether it's through discipline, knock-ons, wrong decisions, that they made us pay for it. And especially with that bit of a breeze, it probably didn't look that strong in the game, but we definitely noticed it there, and that's where they held us in our 22 that last 15 minutes, and they got points because of it.
Do you feel they'll be kind of a bit more dangerous just based on that last 15? You talk about the Wallabies' confidence and their levers and how they latch on to it.
Yeah, they're always dangerous. I've never played a test match or seen any Australian team in any sporting thing ever give up or not come in confident. So it's no different this week.
Does it feel a bit weird just going back to Eden Park for this 2 weeks in a row? Playing the same team?
We haven't actually got there yet, so we'll deal with that when that happens. But we've moved motels, which is really good. It's changed the week up slightly, and we'll change training locations. I think today we're somewhere different for our clarity. So I think that's really nice. Obviously here at the Heritage, the boys have been here a number of times, so shouldn't be an issue.
And just from your own personal perspective, how important would be just the consistency of selection this week? Would you like to have the same 15 run out this Saturday?
I've never been a coach, and I don't really want to be. You probably have to ask Fozzie that. But for myself, if given the opportunity again, I just want to get out there and play really well. And anyone that played in the weekend just gone, they'll be the same. And I'm sure there's guys, if they are given an opportunity, they'll want to go out and put their best foot forward. It's been talked around a little bit. There's a lot of competition in the squad, and I think this team goes well when there is that internal competition for spots, whether it's on the bench or starting, and I think that's only a good thing.
Do you feel there's a lot of improvement in you guys, even just within a week?
Oh yeah, there's always heaps of things to work on. We're all chasing that perfect game, whether that's actually a reality or not individually and as a team. But yeah, I think if we can do what we want to do for longer periods, I think everyone will be pretty happy if we can do that.
Sam, Artie kind of joked last week that he cops it a little bit at home in terms of the uncertainty with the playing schedule. What's it like for you?
Yeah, it's the same for everyone. But the reality is, we've kind of dealt with the uncertainty of COVID, and Super Rugby happened a little bit that way with games being changed from Melbourne to Sydney, and I think the Chiefs stayed in Coogee Bay for 3 weeks in a row, and they were talking about rebranding themselves, the Coogee Chiefs. But for us as players, we've just got to roll with it. When we get that information, we can then, work out what we need to. But until we get that information, we've just got to stay pretty open-minded and worry about where we are, and that's here in Auckland this week with Bledisloe.